Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. I tried to make this video, when I was off, off work, on Sunday. But I couldn't, because, funnily enough, my ride came early, so I didn't get a chance, so I'm gonna do it now. Essentially, something had happened, when I came into work, Sunday, and I was basically getting ready to leave, closing up. I got approached by this guy who was, he just made conversation while I was, throwing trash out. And he mainly talked about how, he needed, some money for a ride to Uber and stuff like that. And he needed to get somewhere pretty far, so the ride was going to be expensive. And, I mentioned that, hey, if I had it, I'd give it. And yeah, it could be the fake sob story, blah, blah, blah. I understand. But then he mentioned, he's just been dealing with a bit. And, I could have shrugged them off and whatnot. I could have, just said, whatever, I got to work. But, I try and give people time because at the end of the day, you're human. You know what I mean? We've got problems. And, for me, I think that people don't understand how far it can go to just be heard at times. So I tried to, give him the benefit of the doubt, tried to listen to him, and, he mentioned that, he's been struggling to find work, and, I can relate, and whatnot. He's been struggling to find work because he has so many, freaking disabilities and whatnot. He mentioned, AFib, lupus, I think, diabetes or something like that. And, I could kind of tell that, something was wrong with him in terms of, not mentally wrong, but, physically. Because, he spoke very out of breath, even though he wasn't really, doing anything. He was just talking. He spoke very out of breath and whatnot. I just kind of tried to listen to him, give him some encouraging words, and he left. And, I wanted to mention that because the fact of the matter is, in this case, because he mentioned, he was trying to get, some kind of help, some Social Security or something, but said he's been applying for, 2 years and whatnot. But I wanted to mention that again because, it's odd to me because when you get in positions like that, it's kind of interesting that we have a program in this country that will help people who willingly make bad decisions, but we won't help people like that. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm sure that some of his health could be attributed to him because, not to rip on the guy, he was out of shape, He had quite a bit of a belly and whatnot, so, I don't completely remove accountability from him. You guys know who I am. If you've been listening to this excuse me, if you've been listening to this channel for a minute, you know who I am, But, yeah. The fact of the matter is, you have no real way of knowing fully, at least 2 of those, as far as I'm concerned, is something that, he can't really control. AFib, there are people who get AFib, when they're really up in age, and then some people can get AFib, a lot earlier on than you expect. And that's just something that's related to the heart, But again, I don't completely discredit him because, like I said, you got to take care of your body. You can't just let your body, get out of shape like that because then it opens up a wide plethora of other problems that can occur. But I'm saying this from this perspective that how do we sit here and reward people who make bad decisions willingly, right? Freaking single moms and, some of these people that are air quotes saying that they're, special needs to get assistance. Oh, my bad. Don't mean to yawn. But, to get, assistance. But here's a guy that, really just needs, the money for medical reasons and stuff like that. And he can barely find insurance. He can't find anything because good old American healthcare, Now, yeah, you could say that, okay, he was ripping you off. It was a sob story. He probably you trying to use the money for drugs and stuff like that. And I don't deny that possibility. I don't. But I also do not deny that, listen, just by listening to the guy and, how he spoke and stuff like that, I can tell that, it seems freaking what the small little things that he was doing was taxing on him, My question is this, what do you do as a society to the people that really need help? I think that screams a lot about what kind of a society that you have. If the people that need help cannot get help, and the people that essentially take advantage of the help are the ones who get it, you know, what are you doing as a society, right? Because I can speak from personal experience, you know, like, the fact of the matter is, for me, you know, like, we didn't really get help, you know? We didn't really get help, and even into my adulthood, you know, it's not like I got help. Listen, if I was able to get food stamps, you know, I would have canceled it right now. Why? Because I'm working, you know? So I don't really see the point of keeping it if I no longer need it because I'm working, right? Sorry about that plane. I live next, well, I don't live, but I work next to an airport, so it'll happen, you know? But it's really infuriating that, you know, you're in a position like this and this is what you see, you know, because there's people that need that help, man. There are people that need that help, and then you have, like, entire groups of, like, freaking leeches that just, you know, they just, like, say, oh, I'm just gonna pop out a kid to just keep getting food stamps and cash assistance and stuff. Like, it's despicable. And here's someone that actually needs it, and they can't get any help. You know, they can't get any help. Because, listen, by all means, like, if you can work, then work. But in situations like that, you know, like, who's really going to hire you? Think about it this way. I don't have any health problems wrong with me. I don't have anything wrong at all. And it was struggling enough for me to find work. It was, like, a real challenge. Just because these places may, you know, have it on, like, the written agreement that, oh, we don't discriminate against disabilities, they absolutely do. They don't want to hire anyone that's going to, you know, not be able to do certain jobs, even if those jobs aren't even taxing. Like, let's say that this guy was just trying to get, like, an office job or something like that. They still wouldn't want to hire him. And it's probably, you know, you could argue that, oh, the health reasons, you know, like freaking insurance and blah, 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 blah. But it's like these freaking places that offer insurance, they don't freaking do crap. Insurance ain't nothing. It's nothing. Most of the time, they try their hardest not to pay out. That doesn't matter if it's vehicle insurance, freaking car insurance, house insurance. Insurance tries everything in its power not to pay out. Because at the end of the day, most of what you pay in insurance goes to agents. Oh, how would you know, TCD? Well, buddy, I worked in life insurance. I know what the heck I'm talking about. Worked in life insurance. I studied under life insurance. Yeah, a lot of what you see as business is really just scamming. It's really all it is. It's all scamming. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about to get back into it, right? You're making crime irresistible when you have situations like that. Here is a guy trying to work normally, trying to get a job normally. But when he can't, especially because, again, like something that, you know, he can't fully control. Because like I said, I don't really necessarily know everything about those diseases that he mentioned, but pardon me. If your body is anything to go off of, no offense to the guy, you know, like, hey, would you have diabetes if you had a better diet, you know? Now, that's obviously not to say it, but, you know, I don't know if he was either given diabetes because of genetics or if he acquired it, you know, due to a bad diet and stuff like that. But you don't just get out of shape overnight. And that's something that, you know, you literally have to work towards. So it's something to think about, you know, it's something to think about for real. But I digress. What I'm trying to get at here, guys, is a lot of the world of business is scamming. It's scamming big time. And it's going to be irresistible to a lot of people as we progress and move forward when it's just that difficult to get a job that, okay, why shouldn't I just do something illegal? You know? Because listen, I got to be real. If the world's all about scamming, I can't blame anyone or fault anyone who feels like, you know what, F it, I'm just gonna try and get some, I'm just gonna try and get some stuff like, you know, the illegal way. I don't blame them because, listen, the biggest thieves in the world, like, wear suits and ties and, you know, they freaking attend banks and they go to freaking, they live in the White House and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's effed up, man. Seriously effed up. But I kind of just wanted to share that, you know, I'm here early, so trying to just, you know, do the usual grind, I guess, you know. Honestly, I'm just trying to wonder about what the heck's going on with my pay, because I'm supposed to get paid pretty much like last week. And so I'm going to ask my manager, you know, what the heck's up with the payroll, because, you know, I've basically been paid for my training already, but I haven't been paid with my recent 2 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and ask what the heck's up with that, because I need that money, you know. And I hope that this is not a reoccurring thing where it takes longer than usual to freaking get paid. So, not that I'm sure it's the manager's fault, you know. If like I need to like get the payroll number, then I need the payroll number, because hey, listen, I'm supposed to be getting compensated for my time, so hey, it's what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. Again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, we're in it together, you know. I know a lot of people may see that as like, oh, you're just talking crap, you know, like you don't really mean that. You know, you're just some guy behind a keyboard or whatnot, you know, like you don't mean that. But seriously, I do, guys. Don't think that just because I'm working now that I'm gonna forget the months where I was looking for work and, you know, I was in a neighborhood that I was miserable in. I don't forget where I come from, because to be honest, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't sit around there and hide from that. I see that as something to look back on, and I see that as progress. So I don't forget where I came from, and at the end of the day, like, if I could hopefully get in a position where, you know, I was well off, you know, I wouldn't mind trying to look out for other dudes and stuff like that, because we don't have anyone, man. We don't have anyone. Like, no one really actually gives a rat's arse about us. No one cares, other than like other dudes who I feel like have been in that position. And if it's just advice, or if they can just straight up hook you up and find a way to get you some work, then trust, they do, you know. So I wouldn't mind being one of those guys, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. Thank you guys for listening. God bless. I will see you next time.